Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. My name's Cody Bills. Today is the 13th and we had an ugly day in the market. Let's turn over to the iPad and see where we closed off the day. Corn trading down 16.5 cents, soybeans down 11.5, and wheat in Chicago trading down 7.5 cents on the day. Now keep in mind, as we went into the morning pause from the overnight session, we were trading higher here. At 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, we got a nice reportable sale of 105,000 metric tons of corn to unknown destinations, but that was not enough to hold up the prices here in the grains today. Take a look at the damage to the daily chart for the March corn chart. You can see here now trading below $4. You can see we're trading below that 50-day moving average. Now, part of the reason why we could have been going down here, why we saw some selling here in the grains, is simply because it is the 4th out of 5 days of this commodity index rebalancing. Now, that could have thrown a little bit of a loop, but I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that we've had a chance here to really digest all 4 reports that came out yesterday. And I think when you look at the reports, when you look at what this report really means, is that we saw a revision here in the supply side of things, in the production side of things. We're not going to see really any more revisions. This was a January report. It was the final yield estimates, final production estimates for 2014, 2015. The bottom line here is production, yes, it was lower. It did lower ending stocks, but demand is what's really important. We still have 1.8 billion bushels of corn that we have to eat our way through, and if we're not going to be able to continue this rally unless we see strong demand. Now, unfortunately, when you look at quarterly stocks, we saw feed usage revised lower. We saw a slight uptick here in ethanol, but when you look at ethanol, the outlook in the energy sector isn't really something I want to hang a bullish argument on when you look at corn. So the bottom line here is we need to see stronger demand, and really in order to do so, I wouldn't be surprised if we see prices move a little bit lower. Export sales right about on pace with where we need to be to meet USDA expectations. It's not really red hot yet, and so really I don't see any major reasons why we would be able to rally off of the news that we got yesterday. So my outlook still remains roughly the same, sideways to slightly lower here as we move throughout the next couple months. Now let's talk a little bit about soybeans here, because this was very interesting, trading down near the low side of the range. I wouldn't be surprised if we find a little bit of support down on the low side of this range, but I don't think it's going to last for very long. When you look at the fundamentals that came out in yesterday's report, we had a 410 million bushel ending stocks on the balance sheet here. That was higher than the market was expecting, about 17 million bushels higher than the analysts were expecting. So that did provide a surprise. That's why we traded lower yesterday, and I think that's part of the reason why we're going to continue trading lower here. I wouldn't be surprised if we fall through the low side of this range that we've been trading in since the beginning of November. And the reason for that is really when you look at South America, you're looking at a crop that's going to be coming out of the fields here in later February. That's kind of when we really start to see harvest ramp up here. And we've had very good moisture. It's been adequate to above adequate in many areas. Yes, there is dryness in the northeastern part of the Brazil, but that sort of dryness and the hampering of yield in those areas has been offset by adequate to surplus moisture in other areas. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see revisions in production forecasts for South America to the high side. That's going to be very bearish here for soybeans, especially when we have 410 million bushels carry out for the 14-15 marketing year. Bottom line, I look at soybeans and I think it's relatively bearish here. I would be nervous to be looking to purchase soybeans if you think that there's really a lot of upside. But you know, as a producer out there, what we're trying to do is manage our risk to the downside. I think there's a possibility we get some support down here on the low side of the range, as I mentioned. But you know, if we do get a bounce, I think that's an opportunity to price some of that grain or look to reduce that price risk for this next growing season. Let's talk a little bit about wheat here, because you know, it's just been a dog really for quite some time, and you can see we come off those highs that were printed as a result of Russian exports and the curbing of those exports, and we just haven't been able to book enough wheat here to make the market move, and we rallied up to those levels because we were expecting to see export sales pushed onto the books, onto the U.S. books. We have not seen that. Until we see that, I think it's going to be very difficult for wheat to turn around here. And that's going to be, that's very unfortunate. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the things on the horizon here for traders that you should be paying attention to. NOPA crush numbers coming out on Thursday. Expectations for December crush to be 166.9 million bushels crushed there. That would be a record over 165.3 that we saw in 2013. Bottom line here, that's going to be a very important number. And I think if we come in on the low side of analyst expectations, I think that would be the final nail in soybeans coffin here. We may start to see this really tip to the low side, break out of that channel that we've been trading in. Guys, if you have any questions about what I talked about here today, give me a call. The number is 877-472-4607. Remember, if you haven't done so already, take a demo at grainhedge.com. See what it's like. You get a 14-day free trial. See what it's like to have live quotes on your mobile phone and have the ability to monitor the market tick for tick on your home computer. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you here on Wednesday.